What happens when a superstar humbles himself before millions? Vinícius Júnior, Real Madrid's fiery winger, just did something few footballers ever dare. He apologised to the fans. But why now, after months of tension, criticism and raw emotions, Vinícius finally turned a corner? Or is this just the calm before another storm? Stay tuned, because what he said could change everything about how Madridistas see him from this moment on. And we've got breaking drama straight out of Madrid! Vinícius Júnior, the electric spark of Real Madrid, the samba heartbeat of the Bernabeu, has just stepped forward with something rare in the modern game apology. Yes, Vinícius has apologised to Real Madrid fans after a week filled with criticism, frustration and flashes of raw emotion on the pitch. The young Brazilian star has done what few megastars ever do. He's owned up. The apology comes after a string of heated moments that left supporters divided. Some saw passion, others saw petulance. But now, in a move that shocked many, Vinícius has addressed the fans directly, showing humility and maturity beyond his years. You could almost feel the tension lift across Madrid, the same city where this kid once danced his way into the hearts of millions. Remember, this is the same Vinícius who rose from the favourless to become one of the brightest face of Real Madrid's next generation. He's been dazzling defenders, scoring decisive goals, carrying the weight of the famous white shirt. And yes, sometimes letting emotion get the better of him. But this apology, it feels like a turning point. It's not just words, it's a statement of intent. A promise to channel that fiery energy into performances, not protests. And make no mistake, Madridistas are watching closely. They've seen legends fall and rise again inside that cathedral of football, and Vinícius knows redemption stories are part of Real Madrid's DNA. Sources close to the club say he's spoken from the heart, expressing regret for any disrespect and reaffirming his love for the badge. It's the kind of gesture that could reignite the bond between the fans and their fiery winger. A reminder that behind the headlines and highlight reels is still a 25-year-old with something to prove. And you can almost picture it. The next time he steps onto that pitch at the Bernabeu, the roar will tell the story. Every dribble, every sprint, every goal celebration will now carry extra meaning. From tension to forgiveness, from frustration to fire. Vinícius Júnior's next chapter might just be his most defining one yet. And we've got breaking drama straight out of Madrid! Vinícius Júnior, the electric spark of Real Madrid, the samba heartbeat of the Bernabeu, has just stepped forward with something rare in the modern game, an apology. Yes, Vinícius has apologised to Real Madrid fans! After a week filled with criticism, frustration and flashes of raw emotion on the pitch, the young Brazilian star has done what few megastars ever do. He's owned up. The apology comes after a string of heated moments that left supporters divided. Some saw passion, others saw petulance. But now, in a move that shocked many, Vinícius has addressed the fans directly, showing humility and maturity beyond his years. You could almost feel the tension lift across Madrid, the same city where this kid once danced his way into the hearts of millions. Remember, this is the same Vinícius who rose from the fabulous to become one of the brightest faces of Real Madrid's next generation. He's been dazzling defenders, scoring decisive goals, carrying the weight of the famous white shirt. And yes, sometimes letting emotion get the better of him. But this apology, it feels like a turning point. It's not just words, it's a statement of intent. A promise to channel that fiery energy into performances, not protests. And make no mistake, Madridistas are watching closely. They've seen legends fall and rise again inside that cathedral of football, and Vinícius knows redemption stories are part of Real Madrid's DNA. Sources close to the club say he's spoken from the heart, expressing regret for any disrespect and reaffirming his love for the badge. It's the kind of gesture that could reignite the bond between the fans and their fiery winger. A reminder that behind the headlines and highlight reels is still a 25-year-old with something to prove. And you can almost picture it. The next time he steps onto that pitch at the Bernabeu, the roar will tell the story. Every dribble, every sprint, every goal celebration will now carry extra meaning. From tension to forgiveness, from frustration to fire. Vinícius Júnior's next chapter might just be his most defining one yet. The story of Vinícius Júnior has always been one of contrast between brilliance and frustration, celebration and controversy, triumph and tension. His recent apology to Real Madrid fans didn't emerge out of nowhere. It's the product of weeks, even months of emotional strain both on and off the pitch. Vinícius has never been a player who hides behind a facade. His emotions are visible in every touch of the ball, every run down the flank, every confrontation with a defender who dares to stop him. That rawness is what makes him magnetic, but it's also what sometimes leads him into moments of conflict. When a player plays with his heart on fire, the line between passion and provocation can blur in the heat of competition. For Vinícius, that intensity has always been both his superpower and his challenge, and this apology signals a recognition of how that duality has affected his relationship with the supporters who once adored him unconditionally. This season, expectations around Vinícius have been sky high. After years of growth under pressure, he's evolved from a promising teenager into a world-class winger capable of deciding major games. Yet with that rise in status comes an immense weight of responsibility. Every gesture, every comment, every reaction is magnified under the spotlight of Real Madrid. The Bernabeu is not an easy stage. It demands excellence, discipline, and above all, respect for the club's heritage. When Vinícius' emotions spilled over in frustration during recent fixtures, some fans saw it as immaturity rather than passion. That perception struck him deeply. And for a player who's always prided himself on his connection with the supporters, it was a wake-up call. The apology he offered wasn't scripted PR. It felt personal, like a young man acknowledging the delicate bond between player and crowd and choosing to rebuild it with honesty. For Real Madrid fans, emotions run just as deep. They idolise their players but hold them to impossible standards. The greats of the club's history, from Di Stefano to Cristiano Ronaldo, have faced moments of doubt and public backlash, only to come back stronger through performances that silence criticism. Vinícius' decision to speak directly to the fans echoes that tradition. He's showing awareness that the white shirt doesn't just represent skill or fame, it represents identity, history and unity. When a player apologises not because he's forced to, but because he genuinely feels the disconnect, it rekindles something powerful between him and the supporters. It restores the emotional bridge that turns boos back into cheers. Inside the team, his gesture has reportedly inspired respect. Coaches see a player growing into his role not just as an attacker but as a future leader, someone who understands the psychological side of football as much as the technical. The apology may be the surface, but beneath it lies a deeper transformation, a new focus, a recalibration of priorities, and an understanding that greatness at Real Madrid is measured not only by goals or trophies, but by how you handle the moments when everything seems to fall apart and still find the strength to stand tall again. Vinícius jaded across the world, he has rested in the world of football because it captures something rarely seen in the modern era of superstar athletes. Humility at the height of fame. His journey to this moment has been defined by contrast, raw brilliance on the field paired with moments of volatility that draw intense scrutiny. Yet behind every heated exchange, every emotional outburst lies the story of a young man who climbed from the streets of São Gonçalo, Brazil, to the most glamorous stage in European football. That path was not paved with ease or entitlement. It was built through struggle, sacrifice, and an unbreakable will to succeed. So when Vinícius chose to publicly apologise to Real Madrid fans, it wasn't a gesture of weakness. It was a reminder that the same fire that makes him unpredictable in attack also burns with pride for the badge he represents. In the heat of La Liga and Champions League battles, emotion often becomes both a weapon and a vulnerability. Vinícius plays the game like it's personal for him. It always is. Every time he faces jeers, fouls, or provocation, you can see the fight ignite in his eyes. Sometimes that fight spills over into frustration, leading to reactions that fans or pundits interpret as arrogance or disrespect. But beneath those moments lies an athlete struggling to balance the emotion that fuels his talent with the discipline that greatness requires. The apology is part of that evolution, an acknowledgement that even passion needs control, and that love for the club must be expressed not just through words or gestures, but through conduct that honours the institution's legacy. Inside Real Madrid, that understanding is crucial. This is a club where emotional intelligence is as valuable as technical skill. The pressure of representing such a team can be suffocating for players who let criticism affect their rhythm. Vinícius, still in his mid-20s, has lived that pressure since his teenage years, growing under the shadow of comparisons to past legends. To apologise publicly shows he's starting to see the bigger picture, that his journey isn't only about dazzling footwork or record-breaking performances, but about building a reputation worthy of the crest he wears. It's a subtle but powerful shift from individual expression to collective respect, a sign that he's learning how to handle the weight of expectation that comes with Real Madrid's global aura. Among fans, reactions have been mixed yet hopeful. Many have long admired his courage and his fearless style of play, even when emotions ran high. Now, with this moment of humility, supporters sense something changing, a maturity forming behind the charisma. The apology might not erase past controversies overnight, but it opens the door for forgiveness, understanding, and renewed belief. It reminds people that behind the superstar swagger is still a young player finding balance in a world that rarely forgives imperfection. And for Vinícius, this chapter isn't just about rebuilding public trust. It's about reclaiming control of his story, turning criticism into conviction, and transforming raw emotion into a focused drive that fuels the next stage of his legacy inside the walls of the Santiago Bernabeu. Vinícius Júnior's apology has created a ripple effect that goes far beyond fan reactions or social media buzz. It's been felt inside the dressing room in the training sessions, and among the club's hierarchy who have watched this young talent mature under the immense spotlight of Real Madrid. For years, Vinícius has been the emotional live wire of the team, a player who brings energy, creativity, and an undeniable spark to the attack. But with that spark has also come volatility, the kind that can divide opinion in a club where composure and professionalism are part of its DNA. By stepping forward and taking responsibility, Vinícius has shown that he's ready to evolve from a rising star into a player capable of embodying Real Madrid's values on and off the pitch. Behind closed doors, those close to him describe a shift in mentality. There's been a conscious effort to transform criticism into motivation, to use the frustration of past mistakes as fuel rather than a burden. The coaching staff have long admired his intensity, but they've also urged him to find balance between passion and control, emotion and execution. This apology isn't just a public statement, it's the visible sign of that inner work. For a player whose game thrives on emotion, learning to channel it constructively could be the key to unlocking his next level. The maturity to apologize, to self-correct, and to re-establish connection with fans speaks of growth that statistics and highlight reels can't measure. It's about character, And character is what defines legends at Real Madrid. The fans' response has mirrored this shift. Many supporters, while initially frustrated by his attitude in certain moments, have expressed admiration for his humility. Real Madrid fans value effort, accountability, and respect above all. They know that every player, no matter how talented, faces moments of weakness. But what separates icons from mere stars is how they respond to adversity. Vinicius' decision to face his critics directly instead of retreating from them has reignited that crucial emotional bond between the stands and the pitch. It's a silent pact that says we forgive passion, but we demand pride and responsibility in return. For a player who thrives on crowd energy, that reconnection could be transformative, giving him renewed confidence to perform without the mental weight of conflict. This development also sends a broader message across the football world. In an era where egos often dominate headlines, Vinícius' action stands out as a rare moment of accountability. It shows a young athlete beginning to understand his influence, not only as a player but as a public figure representing millions. It demonstrates that even in a sport filled with pressure, criticism and constant scrutiny, self-awareness remains a player's greatest strength. His apology has become a turning point, not because of the words themselves, but because of what they signify: a readiness to grow, to rebuild trust, and to continue carrying the expectations of one of the greatest football institutions on earth with a renewed sense of purpose and humility. The next time Vinícius Júnior steps onto the pitch at the Santiago Bernabeu, the air will feel different. His apology to Real Madrid fans has added a new layer to his story, one of redemption, reconnection, and renewed purpose. Every player who wears the white shirt experiences a defining moment when their relationship with the supporters is tested, and for Vinícius, this may be that turning point. The fans will remember the words he spoke, the sincerity in his tone, and the promise implied within them that he understands what it means to represent Real Madrid not just through goals and assists, but through grace under pressure. For a player whose career has been driven by emotion and flair, this moment represents a shift from youthful exuberance to seasoned awareness. It's as if the fire that once burned recklessly is now being refined, redirected towards something more powerful and enduring. In Madrid, forgiveness often comes through performance. A single dribble, a decisive pass, or a match-winning goal can erase doubts faster than any press conference. Vinicius knows this, and he thrives in that environment. His energy feeds off the roar of the crowd, and the Bernabeu's approval has always been his fuel. The next time he sprints down the wing, every cheer will feel like an acknowledgement of growth, a sign that the fans have not only accepted his apology, but are ready to rally behind him again. It's a dynamic that defines the relationship between Madridistas and their heroes, demanding emotional yet deeply loyal when trust is restored. For Real Madrid as a team, having a player like Vinícius fully focused and emotionally aligned with the fans can change the atmosphere within the squad. His energy sets the tone, his confidence inspires teammates. When he's at his best, defenders panic and the team plays with greater fluidity. But when frustration clouds his focus, that same intensity can become a distraction. The apology, therefore, isn't just personal, it's tactical. It's about restoring clarity, ensuring that every ounce of his emotion goes into his football rather than external noise. Coaches and teammates will see this as a positive step, evidence that he's maturing into the kind of leader who influences the team not just through skill, but through mentality. There's also a poetic side to this moment. Vinícius has always carried the joy and rhythm of Brazilian football within him, yet he's learning to blend it with the discipline and gravitas demanded by Real Madrid's culture. This balance is what creates true greatness, the ability to combine flair with focus, expression with restraint. His apology suggests that he's beginning to understand that harmony, and it could define the next stage of his career. As he prepares for the upcoming matches, the anticipation surrounding his every touch will be electric. The crowd will watch not just for goals, but for signs of evolution. Signs that the young man who once played purely with heart is now playing with heart and wisdom intertwined, ready to rise again under the blinding white lights of Madrid. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe.